He was there, buried beneath 1,000 tons of rubble, arms outstretched, eyes shut, the dust still settling over his body. Crowds were screaming. Then, nothing. Who was this man? How did the most physically powerful human being who ever walked the earth end up chained, blind, and grinding grain like a slave? And how did he, in his final moment, accomplish what no army, no weapon, no army of thousands ever could? This is not just a story about strength. It is a story about a calling that was squandered, a weakness hidden inside a giant, and a grace that refused to give up on a broken man. This is the story of Samson. In the hill country of Israel, in a town called Zorah, lived a man named Manoah and his wife. For years they had prayed for a child. For years, silence was all that answered them. They were not important people. They held no political power. They were just a couple, faithful, forgotten, and aching for a son. Then one day, everything changed. An angel appeared to Manoah's wife, alone in a field. The words he spoke would alter the course of a nation. "You are barren," the angel said, and rather than cruelty, his voice carried certainty. "But you will conceive and give birth to a son." Not just any son. This boy would be set apart from his mother's womb. He would never touch wine, never eat what was unclean, and most importantly, a razor would never touch his head, because this child would be a Nazirite, dedicated entirely to his Creator, a living covenant, and through him, this boy would begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines. Now, understand who the Philistines were. For 40 years, they had dominated Israel. Iron chariots, iron weapons, iron will. They controlled the trade routes, the borders, the grain. If you were an Israelite, the Philistines decided how you lived and how low you bowed. Israel had no army strong enough to fight them, no king to lead them, no plan to free them. They had only this, a baby not yet born, a promise wrapped in a miracle. Manoah asked the angel his name, wanting to honor him when the promise came true. Then, fire erupted from the altar, and in the flame, the messenger ascended. Gone. Manoah fell on his face. He thought they would die, that no mortal could see such a being and survive. But his wife, the quiet, steady one, simply said, if he meant to kill us, he would not have shown us all this. And in time, as promised, the boy was born. They named him Samson, and the power of heaven began to move upon him. But power without wisdom is not a gift. It is a test. Samson grew, and the power that rested on him was unlike anything Israel had ever seen. But Samson had a fatal weakness. Not iron, not armies, not any weapon ever forged. His weakness had soft eyes and a beautiful face. In the town of Timnah, deep in Philistine country, Samson saw a woman, and he wanted her. His parents were horrified. She was not Israelite. She was Philistine, the very people crushing their nation. They begged him to choose differently. There were daughters of his own people, his own tribe, worthy women close to home. Samson's answer was devastatingly simple. She is the right one for me. Get her for me. On the road to Timnah, something impossible happened. A young lion, full-grown, roaring, charged out of the vineyard at Samson. No weapon, no warning, just the beast and the man. And Samson tore that lion apart with his bare hands. Like tearing a young goat, he told no one, not his father, not his mother. He simply walked on to Timnah and spoke to the woman. And she was right, to his eyes. At the wedding feast, Samson was surrounded by 30 Philistine young men, companions for the ceremony. And Samson, never able to resist a game, offered them a wager. I have a riddle, he said, leaning back, eyes bright with mischief. Answer it within 7 days, and I will give each of you fine linen and a set of clothes. Fail, and each of you gives me 30 sets. They agreed. They were confident. They were wrong. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. 3 days passed. 4 days. Still nothing. On the 4th day, the 30 men went to Samson's bride, and their words were not a request. They were a threat. Coax the answer from your husband, or we will burn your father's house down, with you inside it. And so the woman cried, not just once. She wept on Samson's shoulder. 7 days of tears and pleading, and on the 7th day, the last day, Samson told her. She told the 30 men. They gave him the answer at sunset. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? And Samson, with the quiet fury of a man who understands exactly what just happened, he went back to his father's house, alone. His wife was given to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. She was gone, and Samson was alone. For a little while. The Philistine lords gathered behind closed doors. Their armies had tried. Their warriors had tried. Even the men of Israel, terrified of Philistine retaliation, had once tied Samson with new ropes and handed him over. Samson had snapped those ropes like threads and walked free. He had grabbed the jawbone of a donkey from the ground, the most ordinary, undignified weapon imaginable, and fought 1,000 men, and won. 20 years. For 20 years, Samson judged Israel, and the Philistines could not stop him, until they found the one thing that could. Her name was Delilah. She lived in the valley of Sorek, and Samson loved her. The 5 lords of the Philistines came to her, one by one, each with the same offer. Find out where his great strength comes from. Tell us how we can overpower him, and each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. 5,500 pieces of silver. For one name. For one secret. Delilah agreed. She tried 3 times. Each time she asked the source of his power. Each time, Samson lied. Each time, soldiers hiding in the room ready to pounce. Each time, Samson woke and laughed and walked away. And then, she turned up the pressure. Day after day, nagging, pleading, pressing, until, the ancient words say it so simply it is almost heartbreaking. His soul, and Samson told her everything. A razor has never come upon my head, because I have been a Nazirite from my mother's womb. If my head is shaved, my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. Delilah sent for the Philistines immediately. They came, with the silver, and Samson slept. When she called out to him, "The Philistines are upon you," he woke. He did not know that the power had departed from him. The Philistines seized him. They brought him down to Gaza, their great stronghold city, and bound him with bronze shackles. And they put him to work grinding grain at the prison mill, the deliverer of Israel, blind, chained, grinding, in a Philistine prison. It is one of the most gut-wrenching moments in all of ancient history, not because a hero fell, but because a hero who had been called, chosen, and equipped before birth, had handed the Philistines the only key that could unlock his destruction. He was not defeated by iron. He was not defeated by armies. He was defeated by pride, by giving what was sacred to someone who did not value it. It had never been over. Because while Samson sat in that dark prison, his hair began to grow.
The Philistine lords called a great celebration. Their god Dagon, they said, had given Samson into their hands, the enemy of their people, the man no army could kill. They brought him out of the prison to entertain them. Samson, stumbling, led by a servant boy, blind, was paraded before 3,000 people. They laughed at him. They mocked him. They put him between the pillars so everyone could see. And Samson prayed. He asked for strength, one more time, enough to serve his purpose, enough to do what he had been born to do. He braced. He pushed. His hands pressed outward against the two central pillars that held the entire structure. The stone groaned, and the temple came down, all at once. In a single moment of thunder, the roof, the walls, the columns, 3,000 people, the lords, the soldiers, the celebrators, gone in the collapse. Samson killed more in his death than in his life. His brothers came and recovered his body from the rubble. They brought him home. They buried him in the tomb of his father, and Israel remembered him.
He was flawed, deeply flawed. He made choices no amount of strength could fix. He was reckless with sacred things. He trusted the wrong people. He gave away what was never his to give. And yet, his story never stopped being used. His calling was not canceled by his failure. The power returned. The purpose survived the prison. There is something in Samson that most of us recognize. We know what it is to be given something extraordinary, a gift, a calling, a second chance, and to handle it carelessly, to trust the wrong voices, to confuse appetite with love. And we know what it is to wake up in the dark, shackled, wondering if anything is left. Samson's final act was not vengeance. It was surrender, this time to something higher than his own desires. And in that surrender, he became who he was always meant to be. Strength alone does not make a hero. What we choose to do with our strength, that is what endures.